Welcome back to What She Said Sports. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Happy Mother's Day to all who celebrate, be it your mother or somebody that loved on you like a mom. So, I hope everybody had a good day. All right. Okay, so I put together a good show because I was looking into some things. Now, y'all know you saw the thumbnail. You see me using the thumbnail with Jacksonville on it because you know that we talked about that there have been discussions about Shedeur being traded to Jacksonville. What further supports that might be a possibility, a trade, regardless if it's Jacksonville or someone else, is the fact that Cleveland has too many quarterbacks, an overcrowded QB room, which tells you they never intended, after they pivoted away from pre-draft meetings with Shedeur, they did not intend to actually draft Shedeur. We talked about how that likely came about, that it was forced on ownership. And now minicamp has pretty much ended for Cleveland. And what happened? Shedeur bowed out. Is anybody surprised that has watched Shedeur play, be high school, Jackson State, or Colorado? No. Is anybody that expected him to go first, whether they like Coach Prime or not, surprised that he balled out in camp? No. Shedeur Sanders played behind, at times, a negligent O-line and still balled out. It was the most accurate QB in college football. So he wasn't going to be uh, a shock to the NFL if he balled out. Now, what it further proves is that the NFL was on some BSery when it decided to shove Shedeur down to the fifth round. But as I pointed out, he was actually going undrafted. And I can't imagine the hysteria if Shedeur Sanders, all rounds had been completed and he had to sign up as an undrafted free agent. But that's where we were headed, whether people realize it or not. So I've been doing some research on undrafted free agency, how the process works. Congratulations to Shedeur for making it through minicamp. He better than me. Because dealing with that type of negativity when you know you're good and people are being crude and unjust intentionally is not easy to deal with. And for him to be so young and to overcome that, because his love for the game of football is greater than their hatred, which is why he's still in the league. So kudos to Shedeur for that. He's actually showing the younger audience that he pretty much, puts on for young kids that adversity will come. Not everybody will like you. They will try to block you from what you have worked so far, so hard towards, and what you have earned. So I listened to a podcast. Boogie Night or Boog from Travis Hunter's show was on there. It was called Cleveland Browns ESPN. So it's like some ESPN podcast about the Cleveland Browns, and they have looked like about four hosts, but two spoke the most, and then Boog was the guest. And it was interesting because there was a guy in a green shirt. If you read the comments, people don't like the guy in the green shirt. People said he was a hater. That's the term they used. Some other interesting terms came out of that podcast. And one was selective hate. I'm like, in 2025, we coming up with all of these euphemisms for racism. I don't care if you call it bias. I don't care if you call it racism. But to say it's selective hate is trying not to say what it really is. So the guy in the green shirt was full of selective hate. And he had an issue with not knowing who Boog was. He talked about how there are at least 8 different rumors floating around about who you are. I'm like, why are y'all so worried about who this man is? With Shedeur, they were worried about who he was because he was associated with Shedeur. So Boog explained that he's the head of operations for the sports agency co-founded by Lil Wayne, and I thought he said the Anheuser-Busch family. That's what I got from his conversation about his intro. And they were like, oh, we thought you were a videographer. I think they mean Bucky, but I'm not sure. They were like, yeah, there's 8 different rumors going around. We were trying to figure out who you were. Why? See, that's problem number one. Stop worrying about what people you don't know are doing. If they are not interacting with you, mind your business. Why was it so important that they know who Boog was? Do you feel better now that you know he's the head of operations for a sports agency backed by the Anheuser-Busch family? You feel better now? Like, mind your business. That's problem number one. And then the host in the red shirt, the main guy, was essentially saying, oh, I understand why you're in town. You want to make sure, Shedeur, has, it's good here in Cleveland. He's new here, yada, yada, yada. And he said, I'm Italian. We move the same way. So, yeah, I guess there was a lot of talk on the ground with certain people in Cleveland who, have issue with not knowing who the people are surrounding Shedeur, be it his family, friends, or camera crew. And the guy, and if y'all haven't seen this podcast, please go watch it. If y'all, the comments ate them up. If y'all have not paid attention to how some people are talking about Shedeur, one of the things that is a recurring theme, the New York Giants, when they defamed him, they said what? He has an entourage. So that means they didn't know that Shedeur has contracts stemming from NIL to record like overtime. They're still recording for Shedeur. He was on Draft House with them. It was Genty, Dart, and Shedeur. And it's amazing to me that these people consider themselves experts in the NFL world. They are immersed themselves in the NFL world. They're associated with a team, but they act like they don't know that these kids are coming out of college with millions of dollars, mostly due to endorsements. They're coming to the NFL with endorsements. And the recurring theme around Shedeur, as if he's the first person, is he has an entourage. They use that as a negative. Cleveland was trying to say, yeah, there's a lot that comes with him. They were trying to use that as a negative and try to put Shedeur down for having endorsements. So they talked about it today on the podcast. And it was just surprising how the guy in the green shirt who has selective hate to issue and was worried about, had to concern himself with who Boog was like, well, Cleveland fans, we want you to come improve yourself. First and foremost, these quarterbacks coming out of college have already proven themselves. If Cam Ward does not have to prove himself, neither does Shedeur Sanders, because why? They are the same quarterback. They are the same quarterback. It should have gone 1 and 2. Today, there's a post floating around that says the needs for all 32 NFL teams. Guess what the need is for Cleveland? A quarterback. I'm like, this is a mess. This is a mess. Cleveland has created a mess. They created the mess by publicly pursuing Shedeur Sanders in pre-draft, but then pivoting without telling Shedeur and anybody else, and started privately pursuing Dillon Gabriel. Now, Dillon Gabriel also, like Shedeur, are Heisman candidates, but people want to knock Dillon Gabriel because he's on the shorter side, maybe 5'11". And I'm looking at Dillon and I'm looking at Shedeur out there, and I'm looking at, the height difference. And Dillon threw a pick six, Shedeur threw a touchdown. So, I don't ever believe there was a quarterback competition, because what were they competing for? Third or fourth? That's not a competition. That was just something to do. They knew who Shedeur was before, because here's the thing. You could have always pursued Dillon Gabriel if that's who you really wanted. You pursued Dillon Gabriel after you realized you couldn't get Shedeur. And honestly, one of the reasons why they couldn't get Shedeur is because apparently at the last minute, the owner didn't want to spend the money he spent on a defensive tackle on a quarterback. What did I just say the needs are for Cleveland? Quarterback. So Cleveland is just making boneheaded move after boneheaded move. And they, as a fan base, feel like they have any type of credibility to tell anybody, leave your NIL and endorsements at the door. We want you to prove yourself first before you get Ralph Lauren. Excuse me? What year are y'all living in? This is not 1934. This is 2025, and we get ready to push on 2026. How dare you say he needs to leave his endorsements behind before you can cheer for him? You lucky to have him, which is why I still post with the thumbnail, Shedeur to Jacksonville, because to be honest with you, that's what needs to happen. Now, previously, I mentioned they're going to do Shedeur like they did Gino Smith. Y'all heard me say it. And I say, you know what? Let me look and see, exactly where Gino Smith is in all of this. I knew the teams he had played for, and I looked at his career, but I wanted to see where he is on the money list. People keep saying it's not about where you get drafted. That's exactly what it's about. Where you get drafted determines your overall career earnings. Gino Smith was drafted in 2013. It is 2025. What is that, 12 years? So he's been in the league 12 years and he hasn't even hit $100,000. He hasn't even hit $75,000 in 12 years. Why? Because Gino Smith, like Shedeur, was supposed to be a first-round draft pick, but they pushed him down to number 39. His contract for 4 years was only $5 million. He was the number 39th pick. So being pushed down like that took him away from, at the time, probably $10 million to $5 million or something like that. It could have been $9 million. But the point is, with him going number 39, he probably is missing about $10 million because Lamar Jackson went 32 and his 4-year deal was $9 million. So if you push down a little bit more, because it reduces with each round, it's not too far. It's still in alignment. So in Lamar Jackson's class, the people who went first early, like Josh Allen, they got like $26 million. So I was telling y'all, Josh Allen will always be ahead of Lamar Jackson unless Josh Allen retires where he is and Lamar Jackson plays longer. 12 years and he has not hit $100,000. I'm sorry, $75,000. And what do you think they're saying now when they had to think about how much they wanted to pay him for the Raiders? Oh, well, he's older. He's older. So they only gave him $75 million for 2 years. He was making $31 million in Seattle. He wanted a raise. They say they didn't want to lose him, but they traded him